episode if you have been craving some stories of how real life people grew their business, what their major takeaways were, the strategies that they feel like really helped them grow, and what all goes into real business growth. Today, I am so excited to bring you this conversation that I had with one of my past product sales expansion clients, Camille from Equinox Art. She creates alternative jewelry that really brings empowerment to her customers through the adornments that she creates. Throughout this conversation, we really talk about her story of bringing back the spark in her business. She had an established business when she came to me. She was making the sales, she was making the art, and she was really, if you saw it from the outside, she looked like a very successful business. But on the inside, she was feeling a little uninspired. She was feeling like some parts of her business felt more like a chore. She really had a lot of areas where she was overworking herself. She came to me, and through this conversation, we kind of develop where she is at now. She has regained that fun in her business. We have cut out the major stressors, and she saw a ton of business growth over 2024. I am so excited to bring you this conversation, her major takeaways, the strategies that she really found, and really her journey of regaining this spark and this motivation in her business. Camille is absolutely incredible. Her business is incredible, and this conversation really had me nearly in tears multiple times. She really embodies that true freepreneur energy that we were going for, and if everybody can have the level of growth that she had, I would be one happy gal. It's an honor to be able to share this conversation with you. Without further ado, here is Camille. Hi, Camille. Thanks so much for being here.
Hi, I'm so happy to join you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, I can't wait to chat and to share your story. First things first, just kind of who you are, what do you sell, what's your brand all about?
Yeah, so I'm Camille. I'm from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So we're across the world a little bit here. And I'm selling alternative jewelry. I like to empower subculture. So I'm serving like the goth community, edgy women, and I want them to like feel like themselves. And I think jewelry is like an armor. It's adornments that can help you really like be your best self. So that's
Yes.
mainly my passion right now.
Yeah, I love it because you have such like a fun brand. You have such great like aesthetics, like the dark, the goth, like all of that in there, but you have such like an empowering light message, and it's just perfect like duality of your branding, and it really is. It's so much fun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I feel like people think that like the darker subcultures are really like a downer, more
Yeah.
depressive or whatnot. But I'm totally a bubbly person and
Yeah.
I try to like show that it can be empowering and positive and,
Yes.
making you feel good. It's
Yeah.
not about like being
Doesn't have to be
dark.
doom and gloom all the time.
No, not at all. You can like dark clothing, but your mind is colorful. That's what they
Yes.
say.
Oh, I like that a lot. That's
Yeah.
so fun. How did you really decide to do jewelry? Like to take your like this is this is your vibe, this is your passion. How did you choose jewelry out of it?
That's funny because I started jewelry when I was in high school for like a fundraiser to go on a trip with my orchestra. And it was really like I was starting, we were doing that with my mom. We learned all the like things from scratch, from zero. And it started being like a hobby. Through college, I tried like many, many styles. I recycled thing. I did retro jewelry. It was like just trying things out.
Yeah.
And it kind of like died down after I went to like university and started working and stuff. And I started my business. I studied design, so I started a business that had nothing to do with like my personality and my style. I was doing accessories for animals like bowls and scratchers, beds,
Oh, fun.
tours. Yeah, but they were really like Scandinavian design to like decorate your home at the same time. So it was
That's
more
so
like
funny. I
a
didn't know that.
project. Yeah, yeah, that's true. We never talked about it. It was a project like out of school, kind of.
Mhm.
And I got kind of tired of it because it didn't reflect who I was, you
Yeah.
know? It was really like a commercial idea. And I think if the passion of it and like who you are, if it's not infused in your brand, you're gonna like get tired of it. So
For sure.
I kind of like went back to jewelry as a sideline for fun
Yeah.
because I needed to be creative, like my own way, and like do things I wanted to buy, create them because I
Yeah.
didn't see them necessarily, especially in Canada. There's so many like darker brand in the US and the
Mm-hmm.
UK. It's like a huge like scene there. But Canada, I didn't see it as much. So I was like, hmm, let's just do this for fun. I started Instagram and Etsy, and it just started like growing. And I closed
Yeah.
my previous business and like pursued this instead, and I had so much more fun.
Yeah, well, and I think there's such a big piece to it. Like you already said, is that it is your passion. Like it's your vibe and you didn't see it. A, you were filling a gap in a market. B, you had a very specific audience you were going for. And C, it was something that you yourself were so excited about. And that's something I see in business is if you're just doing it for like, okay, let me just make money and make a product and like build a business somehow without having that passion or that drive towards something, I think it's a lot harder to like stick with it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because like you're kind of evolving with your brand, you know?
Yeah.
It's like it's your inner like
It's an
development, like
extension.
we yeah, exactly. So it's really important to be connected,
Yeah.
like in who you are, what you love. Also, because to connect with other people, you need to be loving what you're doing. People will not connect with you if they
Yeah.
don't feel the passion from you. It's not gonna happen.
For sure. Well, and we always talk
Yeah.
about this too. Camille was in my product sales expansion is like how much sales really is an energy exchange that if you show up and you're kind of like, you're like kind of hiding and you're meek, you're like, oh, like you can buy it if you want or like go support me in my endeavors. Like people feel that energy of like, oh, she's not overly confident about what you're selling. But when it's something you're excited about and you love and you know that it's awesome, you know it's going to last, you know you're going to have so much like fun selling it, people feel that excitement on the other side of the screen.
Oh yeah, 100%. And this is something we worked on, like the mindset of like
Yeah.
selling and sharing and like something I worked on a lot. And I think I feel so different now, so much more confident because it's something you told me. It's like who you are is something people want to see, you know?
Yeah.
What you offer is something people will like have fun with and love, and like it's gonna help them be
Yes.
their best self too after, you know? So like it
Exactly.
changed the way I started seeing selling and like my offerings and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so great. And I think it's something that, we are it is something for as a business owner, we are so passionate about. It feels like a passion project to us. And so when people make a sale to us, it's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so great. Like it's so cool. They want to have it." And it feels like they're supporting us. But on the other side of the screen, people are seeing it as something that they're like, "Oh, I just love your product. Like this is just something that I'm excited to wear. I'm excited to own it. I'm excited to pair it with different outfits." And so when we frame the purchases as supporting us or like, if you want to, because that's how we feel in like inside, instead, if you flip that to like, oh no, like I'm making something that people are going to love. I'm making something that's going to make people feel good. I'm making something that's going to solve a problem, whatever that might be. I think it's a difference in how you show up, what content you're willing to create, when, how much you're willing to sell too.
That's true, 100%. It's like the confidence
Yeah.
to like show up. And again, something I'm still working on because like
There's
we're
always
always gonna
something.
feel vulnerable at some level on
Yeah.
some level.
Yeah.
But I think when you do show up and you do show what you love, people will identify, and
Mhm.
that's how you like connect for the
Yes.
community and stuff. That's
Well,
a big thing.
yeah, is like if it is something you're excited about, people see it. They see that they're similar to you. They see that they can connect to you. And every
Yeah,
business has like this anchor of a person to it. Like, we talk about it a lot. It's like you need to be a face of your brand a little bit. And if you are a face of a brand that you aren't authentically that person, it's hard. You have friction. It's hard to show up. It's hard to really make that connection with the audience that you're trying to build
yeah,
too.
yeah, 100%. And you don't love what you're doing
Yeah.
either. So in the
Hmm.
morning, you're not gonna want to like get up and be like, oh, I'm gonna do
Motivated
this and
about it.
that, and like
Yeah.
it's so important to be fired up about your subject, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and it's
Yeah,
hard to wake up and like have these fun ideas and then like execute the ideas and I'm excited about this and I'm excited about that or oh, I could create this other thing when you're not living it and you're not living that lifestyle. It's a lot harder. People ask me all the time like,
yeah,
"Maddie, what business should I start?" I'm like, "You have to look like way deeper than just like what business should start? What do you want to think about every day? What are you excited about? What are you
oh yeah,
passionate about?" It's like you have to look so much deeper because if you're just like, I want to start a business to have a business because I want to be an entrepreneur, it's a lot harder.
mhm.
You got to look at like, what do I want to think about and like literally dream about all night long, think about all day that I feel like I could still be excited about if that was the case.
No, exactly. You gotta be freaking obsessed with
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Otherwise, it's not gonna work.
No, it
Yeah.
has to inspire you to like do more, to be greater, better, and like,
Yeah.
yeah, growth,
100%.
gotta
So you
motivate
said like
you.
you're like I started the account, I started the Instagram and it kind of just grew, which is funny when I hear people say that cuz other people would be like, "Why is that not happening for me?"
I know.
What are some of the like key elements that you felt like you did to start that really helped that like almost natural growth? And I have some if you're like, "Maddie, start with the ones that you have." I have some that I feel like I know for you to be true.
Yeah, I'm trying to like go back from
Yeah.
like the beginning because I was not like I was showing what I was doing, but it was not like just that. It
Yeah.
was like showing looks, like
Well, you
events
were
I
a
was going.
designer. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so you
exactly.
had
So
the
it's like things that
creation, you had the
inspired me.
aesthetics. Yeah, you were like creating all of
Yeah.
those pieces. So it's like it wasn't like you were thinking about the strategies you were doing. It's
No.
something that I know just from knowing you so well is like there's so many pieces that I think there's a lot of strategy that you were doing without really knowing. You were doing full strategies to start and
Yeah.
then you were like, "Oh wait, this is actually what I should be doing." Is you
Yeah.
had so much of the aesthetics, you had that like ride or die community at the core of your
Yeah.
brand. Is like you knew from day one, I was trying to attract this audience and it
Yeah.
was with this vibe.
Oh yeah, it was so clear to me. It kind of like got focused a little bit more with time, which is totally normal. I
Yeah.
started a bit more like witchy, like more crystal things,
Yeah.
kind of deviated from that more into the goth edgy. That
Yeah.
was more me and what people wanted to see too. Um, and a bit different because like the witchy thing got like very trendy, which I
Mhm.
love, but at the same time we were like a lot competing. So I was like, okay, let me like find my own
You're
way. But
yes.
yeah, I was posting like aesthetic, like architectures, like, shapes that like I love on buildings, like my travel too, which
Yeah.
are super inspiring for me because I love like Baroque and like all the like old, buildings and
Yes.
castles and
Well, and when you go, you can
yeah,
get so much inspiration for
yeah,
different pieces and what you wanna create when you come
yeah,
home. Travel is one of the more
exactly.
inspiring things. I think people it's not talked
Right?
about enough of, like, how much you can really
Yeah.
find, and it's a great, like, reason to rest and to travel and, like, go on these trips, take a step away from your business because 'cause you'll come back
Recharge.
with so much
Yeah,
inspiration in different ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it goes so well with my brand because like I'm inspired by like history and like different universes because I do
Yeah.
collection with like precise themes, right? So I
Mhm.
want you to travel with me and like get transported into those like, yeah, it's like almost like a separate realities
Yeah.
that a fantasy you want to part with, like be a part of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and there's certain little towns that have so much of the vibe that you could go into that's like they have a lot of it. Like, I mean, you're in Montreal, but I know you guys have traveled to like Salem, you can talk about, and different pieces
Yeah.
like that that you can go and you can find so much inspiration from it
Oh yeah.
in different towns that just have. I love the word like subculture that you said is like
Yeah.
you wanted to find this like little subculture that loved something, and you have, and they have like this obsession over the vibe that you have and the aesthetics that you
Yeah.
bring, and you've really been able to grow a community because you
Yeah.
spoke to a community that already existed.
Exactly. I think that's important because, like, if it's not like precise enough,
Yeah.
you're not gonna know what to talk about. It's gonna
Yeah.
be so large, you're gonna get lost in it.
Yeah.
Even I'm in a super focused like community, but there's still so many things I can talk about, and I find it so big
So
and
much.
grand already. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and so many people that are listening could find that so helpful is just another time of hearing it because a lot of people are like, well, I just want to make candles for everybody or I just want to make jewelry for everybody. And like anybody could wear this. And sure, anybody could wear the jewelry that you make, but you're making it for a specific person that
Yeah.
makes it so much easier to create. Imagine if you didn't have the like ideal customer of like the Gothic community in there, you'd be like, who am I even talking to? What like there's
Yeah.
endless options of jewelry that you could make at that point.
Exactly. I wouldn't have any direction
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Even in like, the style of photos of like stylism you do and everything like in
Yeah.
your marketing, you gotta like make someone be like, oh my God, I love this so much. This is what I've always wanted. Because
Yes.
I've heard some clients tell me, and it's always very like humbling to hear that, but they're like, you're the brand I've always been looking for and like been
Oh,
looking for. And it's like surprising to me to hear that they haven't found it before, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's
Mhm.
because you have done such a good job of being like, I want to create what I want to create. Like you kind of put those blinders on.
Yeah,
You're like, I'm going to keep
yeah,
building for this certain vibe. And
yeah.
that's why people feel that for you, is because you are not just creating what everybody else is creating. You're hand
No,
designing their intricate pieces, and you do it in such a perfect, like, aesthetic way that allows those people to find you. It's like that obsessed factor that we talk about. They find you and they're so excited about what they have because you have the ideal customer, you have the differentiator,
yeah,
you have the community, you know exactly who
yeah.
you're speaking to.
No, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. What's your vision going forward? Like, I think I know your vision, but kind of moving ahead, you'd have a great, like, direct to consumer, you have a great community, and you've kind of been expanding into other options. What's kind of your vision for the next few years?
Yeah. So, with the program, we restricted a bit how I did my collection and stuff because I
Yes.
was way too
We didn't
crazy.
restrict, we simplified.
I simplified, focused, not
Yes.
restricted. I meant, no, that's not
No,
what I
I know
meant.
what
It's
you
the
mean.
wrong word, but
Yes.
yeah, because I simplified, I feel like now I can do like a regular collection without being
Yeah.
like so overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And I can focus on like bigger pieces that I've been wanting to do for like years, like
Yes.
ages. I want to do like really theatrical piece, the ones you want to wear at like a gala, at like
Yeah.
a costumed event, something that really makes you feel like a character and something you
Mhm.
can't be in your everyday life. The most
Yeah.
empowering thing you've always wanted to be,
Yes.
fantasy. So I want to keep doing the collection like every 2 months, like I'm doing with teams, and like I love I love launching because
Mhm.
it's so fun to do something different each time because
Yeah.
I do a theme. That's what I love. And I also studied like presentation design. So it's kind of like one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
I love to like develop aesthetics in teams. And yeah, so I want to expand and like a line that I've kind of like started. I did a little trial
I know.
recently and it went so great. So I'm planning on a new one for the next collection. So they're like bigger, bolder, more intricate. They take more time to do. So they're at a higher price point, but they're so worth it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have so many pieces that you just said that is, like, such a reflection of the growth that you've had. Because if you go to back and look at your, like, intro form that you filled out when you joined Product Sales Expansion, is you
Yeah.
said, "Launching is, like, so draining on me." You're like, "I literally have to take a week off after," and you're like,
Yeah.
I it's where I make sales, but I felt like I feel so drained when I launch," and you just said, "I love launching." And now, because
It's
you
true.
simplified it, you are able
Yeah.
to come to launching without feeling like, oh my gosh, I am about to have, you had so many products. You would launch like 30 products at once. You had so many pictures to take, so much content to make, so
Yeah.
much to go around it. Is we actually strategically simplified it. And now you're able to build those themes and have so much fun with it. And it opened the doors for you to actually be more creative and chase the things that you've been trying to do, which are those more intricate pieces that have triple the average order value,
Yeah.
and they're where you get to be so creative and you get to open the doors. And it's a perfect example of where strategy actually allows you to, like, be more creative, because it opens more mental space of removing things from your list and being able to let you do more of the things that you've been wanting to do.
Totally, 100,000%. It's crazy. Honestly, it's true that like the evolution I've had since January, like I've I have fun in my business again.
Yeah. Oh,
It
that makes
sounds
me
so
so happy.
simple, but it's like a big deal. Because
Yeah.
when I joined the program, I was like, oh my God, I'm starting to lose that connection of like the heart connection,
Yeah.
of what I was doing. I was like, I felt like I was drowning in chores.
Yeah.
That's not how your business is supposed to feel. It's
No.
supposed to be fun. There are tasks that you like less than others. That's
Yeah,
always going to
always.
happen.
Mhm.
But the ones that really make you feel like you don't want to work in the morning, you got to change something. And I wasn't able to see what had to be changed to get there. I was like too drowned in it. So
Yeah.
the fact that I knew that like was outside and saw so like clearly what was happening, but even if I knew I should launch less product, because I was launching like 30 SKUs every
Oh my
time,
gosh.
the
Yeah.
amount of content you have to do around that is insane. I had
Mm-hmm.
weeks and weeks of photo editing of like, I didn't even know what to promote. I didn't have
Yeah.
enough days to promote everything in the collection. So some things were like just falling off and like not selling. It was not equal, it was not
Yeah.
possible. And I started like, yeah, just launching less products, like maybe a collection of 10, like
Mm-hmm.
5 necklace, 5 earrings, maybe one or two special bigger pieces if I tried it a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, everything got like chopped in a third, literally
Yeah.
a third of the work. And I was scared because I was like, oh, I'm gonna sell less because
Yeah.
I
You
need
were.
option for everybody, every style, every preferences, everything, like every
Yeah.
hairstyle. Like, it was like infinite. And in the end, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
People saw clearly the offer. They knew exactly the one they wanted. They were not overwhelmed with offers. I didn't realize that more doesn't mean to help the client choose. It's the opposite. And
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it didn't make sense at the time somehow, but I got the results to prove it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well,
So
and
yeah,
that like it gives me chills hearing you say that because you
same.
really are like having fun in your business again. You
Yeah,
literally made more sales. You removed the
yeah,
part of your business that was the most draining and now you love it. You
yeah,
were able to like I mean, if you just think about the amount of content that you actually have to make less of now because you
yeah,
removed all of those pieces is
yeah,
like I remember you just saying like, well, like this whole week I have to take content because I'm launching next week. And I was like, wait, like, why are we doing that? Like, that shouldn't have to be the case. Is you literally launched 5 to 8 pieces now and you enjoy your launches. You love them, supposedly. And like,
yeah.
the
It's been
themes, it's
different.
so much fun. And like you said, every single launch doesn't have to be for every single person
No.
because people, will, just like an audience, like we were just saying, people will
Yes,
relate stronger to each theme because it was made specifically for them. And you have in your like little audience, or not little, but you have in your subculture audience, your niche audience, you have
yeah,
other mini subcultures, people that like
exactly.
different styles that you can create. And now you're able to create to them. And you don't have the inventory that's just getting lost because you're actually
Yeah.
able to educate for every single thing that you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Like at the end of the year before the program, I made way too many things per collection,
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I made more SKUs, so I'm gonna sell more because there'd be
Mm-hmm.
more inventory. But then I was stuck with so much inventory. I had to do like a $20 sale and like
I
could get
remember
four
this.
for the price of three because I was like, this needs to go. I had like thousands of dollars like just sleeping in my
Yes.
inboxes, and it was so stressful because I was like, I could be making money out of this. What's wrong?
Yeah.
But no, the more it's funny, because it's almost like a self-development, like parallel. It's like the more I aligned with who I am and what I love
Yes.
to do, and like didn't try to please others, but was doing the thing that made me like made me feel on fire, then it started like going so much better.
Yes.
It's
Oh,
incredible.
and that's
Yeah.
so great. That's such a great realization. And for everybody else to hear is like when it is your business, at the end of the day,
Hmm.
yes, we need to like please a market. We are looking at like, okay, there are going to be certain things that markets like, that people like, our customers like more than others. But when
Hmm.
you do, it goes right back to it. When you create something that you're passionate about, aligns fully with you, you're able to do it better. You're able to be more creative. And again,
Yeah.
another parallel of when you are actually sometimes more strategic with something, it allows you to be more creative because it allows you to stop looking at what everybody else wants to do. This is
Yeah.
what I want to create. This is what I want to make. Let me do it in a way that makes sense. And people will feel the more excitement around it. And it allows you to really be lit up. And that is something that
Yeah.
is such a huge evolution this year. I mean, when we started in January or February in the program and now it's December, like looking at that 12 months and that like truly like you saying you have clarity, you have confidence, you're enjoying your business again. Your sales are
Yeah.
up, you were able to hit these numbers and now you're doing more things that actually make you excited. And I think if
Yeah.
you were to talk to Camille in January, you would be like, I don't know, you would have done a little shrug and been like, I don't know what's
Yeah.
wrong. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But
I
you
was
have so much
overwhelmed.
more. Yeah.
So
Overwhelmed and it's
overwhelmed.
hard. And you had a business that was performing well, like in January.
Yeah.
It's not that you weren't making sales. On the
Yeah.
outside, nobody would have known that you were,
No.
that anything was like internally you were like, I don't know what's going on here. But it
Yeah.
was
I
like
was
being
burned
able
out
to
though.
identify the major areas that you were overworking that you didn't need to, you were
Yeah.
able to find so many more different ways.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. And like simplifying is like, I think it's the word of the year.
Yeah. I
We
love it.
even cut out my inventory. You remember?
Oh, yeah. Well, we looked at your numbers and I was like, these aren't selling. It doesn't even make sense for you to have
No.
them. Let's simplify it
Yeah.
so we can get it through.
Yeah. I think I was attached emotionally to them. It's
Yeah.
not because like the data was not confirming I should keep
Mm-hmm.
them. And once we like started like really, all the Excel document I did to like compare and like all the
Yes.
things, I never did that before. And I was like, oh wow, this is so eye-opening. I get all my
Yeah.
answers actually. It's just I need to like let go and accept that
Yeah.
sometimes you need to move on. And it's like we said, you cannot, it's a mix of the things people want and things you want to make, you
Yeah.
need to find
Hmm.
like the balance in the middle, but it's not about, oh, I'm going to start making pink things
Yeah.
instead because, oh, people
People
want
want
that.
pink.
It's
Yeah.
more like, do they like rosary or long necklaces? It's more in that
Exactly.
area.
Yeah, you're able to find
Yeah.
like mini themes within your own data. And that's why data is
Yeah.
so important, especially when you made the sales that you had, is like you had so much data to look at.
Yeah.
Where I think data gets a little tricky is when you are like when people are starting and they only have markets because it's not really their ideal customer. You're looking at
It's tough.
bestsellers. You need to sell it to those people. But you came in, you had sales, we were able to look at it and we were able to say, these are the things that work. These are the things that we need to like remove. And we refined it really early on. And I remember that next launch,
Yeah.
you like had like 20 pieces on there. And I was like, so I think we should split this into 2, maybe 3. You were like, really? Like I already cut out
I
so
was so
many.
scared.
So scared.
Honestly, when I launched that first collection, like trying what we implemented, I was almost crying. Like, no joke. I was
Your expectations were
freaking
low.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And it was like, I don't remember which collection that was. Oh, yeah. I remember it went so good. It was
Yeah.
one of the best one of the year,
I
like the
remember
second best.
you sent me like a little gif and it was like this you were like so like jaw on the floor. You were like, I can't
Yeah.
believe that this is what's happening. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just so much more clear.
Yeah.
It was like everything was aligned in this little like
In the box,
category, little
do
bit,
the
yeah,
thing.
box.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that's again, it's just another way that's like when you have clarity and you have strategy, it allows you to be more creative. It allows you to have more sales, but it allows you to be able to be like, all right, now I get to like create this whole other thing and it opens the door. And I
Yeah.
think it's really
Oh
hard to
my God,
explain
yes.
that without like an example. And it's a perfect example of it is like when you have the strategy, when you have the frameworks, when you're like, all right, it's like check
Yeah.
boxes is how I always say.
Yeah.
Check your boxes,
That's what I
you have
have.
to
I
do
have
the
an
thing.
Excel.
Yeah. You're like, I have the check boxes. I just check them off. I do the thing and it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Once you have your like method, you just
Hmm.
like copy paste, but you put the new theme, the new messaging, and it's like it feels like you're in control of what you're doing, which
Yeah.
you're not when you're just winging it. I see you like posting
I
your
say, I
stories. Are
know.
you winging it? Because like you won't know what you're doing if you're winging it, and it's true. It's
Yeah.
so true. Yeah, and it feels good because you cannot know until you know.
Yeah. You have to test
And
it.
when
You
you're
got to try
alone,
it.
yeah,
Hmm.
you're alone. You don't know. There's nobody to validate you. Like I listen to podcasts like every day, all day about business, but there's no one being like in your like situation. It's so precise. We all have our own little like details and like situations.
Yeah.
So having someone being like, this works, this I wouldn't do that, like next, no, no, no.
Yeah.
It's just
It's
everything
so
gets so
nice.
like oh,
I know. I love it too.
the
Like if I
brain.
have a mentor in my business that's looking at it and they're like, nope, that's bad. Do this instead. I'm like, thank you. Somebody else
Yes.
making a decision for
Yeah.
me, giving me
Yeah.
the
That's another
validation that
thing.
that was good. Is it's just
Hmm.
like, do it. And you know that it's coming from such a strategic standpoint that it's
Yeah.
like, this is the better of your business. Trust it. And sometimes, like you said, there's going to be resistance where you're like, wait,
Oh
why
yeah.
do I want to do that? And then you test it and you
Absolutely.
try it and you're never going to know unless you keep testing things out and seeing what works.
No, exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's the second thing that gave me clarity, I think, because like your brain, you cannot think straight and see clearly in your like future of your business or anything if you're overthinking constantly and doubting
Yeah.
constantly about what you're doing. And that was me. I'm
I
I'm a little bit of an anxious person, but
think a lot of us are.
yeah, but the thing is we're emotionally connected to it. So we're always being like, oh, am I doing the best I can?
Yeah.
Could this be better? Like, I know,
Yeah.
like our circle of like a community of entrepreneurs, I know we're all like this. Like we say
Yeah.
the same things. But this cleared my mind, which was like extraordinary for me.
Yeah.
Because having someone like being able to like, yeah, check things on the daily too. Because like we were chatting too. It's not just like, oh, a program, you'd look videos and like
Yeah. We're
you get this
chit
figured
chatting all
out.
day long.
Exactly. So each time you have a question, you're saving so much time because you're not doing try and error and you're just like, yeah, you're confident.
Yeah.
It's a crazy feeling. So I simplify, I got more confident. Like,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, and that makes me so happy because that's really the goal, especially in that program, because you already know how to market. You already know how to sell. Now it's just
Thank
looking
you.
at it being a, yeah, of course. It's looking at what you're doing and saying, like, this is what's working, this is what's not. Let's remove the stuff that's not and try these different pieces, add some different strategies and some gaps that you might not have even known were there. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, you still would be launching 30 items if I wasn't like, let's try this. Like, if it wasn't like, let me, like, this is something we need to do, let's give it a shot, I'll like coach you through
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
I think that is something that is just so important. And like the confidence, the clarity, like the sales are great. Obviously, my main goal is to increase your sales in your business.
Yeah.
But to have
Oh,
you
we did
say,
that.
like, we did that, yes. And that is like, we're like, okay, great. That's what our goal is. But the
Yeah.
main goal always, like my favorite wins are the confidence, the clarity, the enjoyment,
Yeah.
the fun. Like that is
Yeah.
really where you even said, you're like, I didn't even launch this month. And you had sales coming in. I
Yep.
stepped away from launching because you were launching in order to get sales. And you're like, no,
Yeah.
they're still there. You're able to show up, be confident with it, be more creative. And you have control over when you know those things are going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. No,
That makes
it's
me so
yeah.
happy.
It's a big improvement.
Yeah.
Like we don't realize that, when they say, oh, business is about mindset, you're like, yeah, right, mindset, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell my brain to be confident today, but it's not that. It
Like,
needs
all
to
right.
like really get in and like you
Yeah.
need to really feel it. And it's true that after you do business differently. And
Yeah.
that's where the strong part is, I
Mm.
feel.
And that makes me so
'Cause,
happy. It really does.
oh,
Because
well,
it's something that, and mindset, it's not like we sat down and we're like, let's talk about mindset
no,
within PSE, but everybody I talk to after is
a
like,
little
I
bit, but
feel like my
yeah,
mindset has completely changed because
yeah.
you're looking at it with that like simplified freepreneur approach, that you're
New
looking
lens.
at it from like in a different lens of that we don't have to do
Yeah,
everything. We get to, like you said, more does
yeah,
not equal more. We have to do more of what makes sense and more of what's actually
yeah,
working. And it like
exactly.
puts things into like funnels for you to do this, do that stuff,
Yeah,
and you're able to do it. It just is like the
yeah.
clarity there. That makes me so happy. Are there any other
Yeah.
like major takeaways that you feel like you had just as like a from a strategy standpoint, whatever, just for people listening, because you've given a lot of really tangible things, which is great. And I want people to be able to take that away.
Good.
Anything else that you're like, this really stood out in from this last year, any even just in business in general, that you're like, if every small business, maybe they're in the point that you were at in January, what would you say to them?
Okay, the first thing that another takeaway from the program, I would say that automating things
Mm,
really changed the game
yeah.
because I was like, I don't have more hours in my day. So
Yeah, how do we make
how can
more?
we optimize, just
Yeah.
it was so many like little details. Like
Mhm.
I thought it was one major big thing that would like explode
Yes.
my my business, like one thing I didn't know that like I had to learn or whatever. It's like you read a book and like you're waiting at the end for the big
Yeah.
reveal or something, but it was not that. It was optimization in like so many little areas. And like when I had ideas about like implementing things, then we would like talk about how we could make it even better and like what would work, what would not. And yeah, I think that really helped. And
Yeah.
that's related to the non-launching months. Because like
Yes.
something needs to happen there. If it's true that
People
if you
need to
do
still be
nothing,
getting
nothing would
sold to.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean I have to be the one like doing every single little things. So
Yes.
the emails automation and stuff like that really made a difference.
Yeah.
I made like thousands of dollars more this year because of like one email. So
Yeah.
it's like it's a big deal. And The other things. What was the second question? Like just in business in
Oh, if you
general,
were
you
to
said.
say, yeah, if you were to talk to like yourself in January, what is something that you would tell somebody in that situation right now?
Hmm. I would say to follow your guts. If you feel you're stuck, find a way to get unstuck. You
Yeah.
know, we
Mhm.
have to stop like pushing on things that like don't feel great. It's a bit like I told you about that. Like it's like business therapy.
Yes.
And it's really how I felt. It's like find people you can rely on, like talk to, like it can even be like a circle of friends. I made so many friends through Instagram that have businesses, and like it's
Yeah.
been such like a relief to not feel
Mhm.
alone in your reality. And like, yeah, that's a big one, I think.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I think kind of going back to that automating and you saying like it doesn't have to be a bunch of things or it doesn't have to be one major thing. It's not like you
Yeah,
like it wasn't anything crazy revolutionary. We
yeah,
like
yeah,
tweaked certain elements. And I say this a lot when I talk about product sales expansion is when you're scaling, it's not you don't need to grow because at that point you've grown a business. And so in your head, you're like, in order to make it double what it already is, I must have to do double of what I'm already doing. But that's not the
yeah,
case. You have to take what you've been doing, look at the data, and be able to
yeah,
say, where can I optimize these things? It's making tweaks and adjustments. And like you said, one new email that we put out that was automated, that you
yeah,
probably took you maybe an hour to do, made you
yeah,
thousands of extra dollars this year because it captured people in a certain spot of the buying cycle. It was something, it's a
exactly.
small tweak and adjustment. And it's something, it's that active versus passive sales. When you're actively selling, you're launching, you're doing it. It's something you have to be doing. But when you don't want to be launching, we have to find ways for people to buy. And that was one of the little pieces that we added in order for that to happen. And it worked.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah, it worked really well. Because
Yeah,
like, I forgot what I was going to say.
it's okay. You're all good.
Okay, I
We can just
completely.
move on. You're good.
Yeah,
And
okay.
when you're looking at, like you said, kind of following your gut, I think so much of business, like we know what's happening, but we do have like such an emotional attachment to it.
Oh
We're like,
yeah.
we don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. Like I put so much time or I invested so much money into doing this other thing, or, people have told
Mhm.
me this, or I feel like it works. But even like you said, you can look at data. Sometimes we have to like look at what's fact and what's kind of feeling in business. Is it just something that I'm
Yeah,
attached to as a person? Because in business, you're always going to have things that you invest in that like, oh shoot, I have all this inventory, but it's not something that's selling. So like, shoot, but I have so much money in it. I need to keep it there.
yeah,
But you're able to
yeah,
we have to detach from that emotionally. And I think
yeah.
that's such a great, like intuitively, logically, I think a lot of us know that. But when we look at something emotionally, it's hard to see.
Oh yeah. Sometimes you have to pull the plug and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Well, and
but
then 3 months later or 6 months later, you can look back and be like, "Wow, am I glad I did that. That made so
yes.
much." And sometimes it's
Oh yeah.
immediate. Sometimes you pull the plug on something that you were just, like, emotionally attached to, and immediately you're like, "Wow, I feel so much better about that
Relieved.
decision." Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, "Why didn't I do
absolutely.
that one earlier? That's crazy." Yeah,
Absolutely. And
yeah,
there's always ways, I think, of recycling what you started. Like I do jewelry, so of course it's very material. So
yeah,
sometimes, I undid some pieces
yeah.
and I made something else out of it and was like, I
Let's
love
test it.
this,
Let's see.
but the demand was not there, or maybe I didn't sell it correctly. I didn't have time to promote it correctly.
Yeah.
There's always stuff to learn from it. And I
Mhm.
think before the program, I was really like, sad, mad. It was
Like,
always about
critical.
my words. If
Yeah,
something
mhm.
didn't go well, like it's like, oh, I suck, or like I did wrong, whatever. And now because there's like data around it and like things I know I can check, like categories, like
Yeah.
marketing, like the price point, like anything. Um,
Mhm.
Now I'm like, okay, let's look at it in like a constructive way instead.
Yeah.
And that's also changing your mindset and how you feel about things because you're not like taking it on you as a person, like I'm a bad person because I
Mhm.
failed at one little thing. It's like, no, I did something that didn't work quite as well as I thought.
Yeah,
And
and then you're able to say,
it's
"Okay, wait,
different.
what did work from it? What did I do differently? And what didn't
Yes.
work that I can now
Yes.
learn the next time you launch? I'm not gonna do
Yeah.
that. The next time I do something, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that." And that's
Exactly.
all about
Not
business.
easy, but
Yeah, business is always going to be that way where it's like, oh, okay, I tried this thing, it didn't work. Okay, I'm not going to do it again, but at least I tried it and at least I know I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah,
And
no FOMO.
no FOMO. Yeah. I love it. Well,
Yeah,
Camille, thank you so much. I know it's so helpful for people to hear kind of the story, some major takeaways, and just like actual growth. A, I think people sometimes think that it's not possible. B, it's just
true.
like really hearing the pieces that really worked for you can be really helpful to others as well. Where can people find you and like stalk your Instagram, look at your jewelry, see what's going on? What is your business and where can we go from there?
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you for having me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be able to talk about it because, as we said, sometimes you don't know who to talk about it with,
Yeah.
and you need to hear about it from
Mm-hmm.
real people, not just like
100.
people who are making $3 million, people
Yeah.
who are starting, like getting there, like
Doing the
out
things.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad if anybody can learn anything from this. Yay.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Instagram at underdash Equinox Art in one word, underdash.
Yes.
And you can check all my, look little videos and all my super beautiful community wearing my stuff. I try to
Yes.
post as much as I can, all the picture from clients.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I love it. Well, I'll link your stuff below too if people want to see you. Camille, thank you so much for being here, sharing your story and all of your wonderful takeaways.
For having me and talk
Yeah.
soon.
Talk soon. How dang fun was that conversation? I literally almost shed a tear a couple of times throughout that entire conversation. Camille is incredible, and the business growth that she has seen is exactly what I want for my clients. Is not only has she seen an increase in sales, but her business feels more fun. She actually feels like the things that were her biggest stressors are completely gone off of her plate, and she really has just embodied that freepreneur life, and it has been so much fun over the last year of really watching her blossom as a business owner. If you are looking for the support that Camille got inside of this program, she was in my signature scaling program, Product Sales Expansion. This program is all about bringing established business owners through a framework to really help them scale their sales without scaling the time that it takes. So if you feel like Camille did coming in, where your business is kind of running your life, you're feeling a little uninspired, and you're looking to scale your sales in 2025, but you don't really know how that is possible, how you can bring that spark back, how you can increase your sales after already having a very established business, having the marketing, having the sales strategy out there, where do you go from here? The Product Sales Expansion Program is a perfect option for you. If you're looking to start kind of getting to those consistent sales, that would be towards the Product to Profit program. If you are interested in any level of support, as always, you can come on over to my Instagram at This Is Madison page and send me a DM that says support there, or you can click the link in the show notes and apply down below. If you have any questions, as always, my DMs are open. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. It was an absolute joy to be able to have this conversation with Camille. If you have any questions, my DMs on Instagram at This Is Madison page. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always. I will see you in the next episode.